In today's show, we're going to talk about Microsoft Forms. So we're going to do an introduction. We're going to help you build your first Microsoft form. We're going to talk about how to share them, how to get the data in, out, all the different options involved. And for all my Power Apps and Flow friends, we're going to talk about how I use these as part of my Flow and Power Apps solutions so we can build future videos on top of that. Should be fun. But first, here's our intro. Hi. My name is Shane Young with Power Apps 911, those guys. And today's show, we're going to talk about Microsoft Forms, a little bit of a change, right? So one of the things I've found over time is that as part of our Power Apps and Flow customer solutions, every now and then we sneak in forms in scenarios where we want to capture data from people outside the company to get it into our system. So what I thought was before I could go and make a bunch of videos about how I pull the data in and how I work with it with Power Apps, I need to make this introduction video. And don't worry, if you're someone who doesn't care about Power Apps or Flow, this video is still for you because what we're going to talk about is what is Forms, how do we use Forms, and a little bit about what is Forms Pro, right? How does that fit in the equation? Just to try and get this whole idea around this wonderful little tool, what it does and what it can do for you. Over here on my desktop, you can see that I've already logged into Forms, right? So if you go to forms.office.com and log in with your Office 365 account, and just about all the Office 365 accounts include Forms. And if not, you can sign up for a free license and come in and do your things, or a free trial. I don't know if they have a free license. I think they do though. But anyway, you can come in here, you can do your thing. Okay. So once you're in Forms, the idea is that you can either build easy to use forms for gathering information, or you can even build a quiz. So I built a couple examples. Let's show those first just to give you an idea of what's going on here. So this first one, feedback for Shane's YouTube channel. We'll hit preview and just see what it looks like, right? So if I sent you this link, and the link is actually below, so you can take this survey if you'd like to provide the data, and this is the data I'll use in subsequent videos. So it would help me out, but it also just tells me what you think of the channel. Anyway, so what you're going to see in here is you're going to have different types of questions, right? So how likely are you to recommend Shane's YouTube channel? 10. What is the primary reason? Because it is me. Go down here. How likely are you? And so then you can see that you have all these different, this is called a Likert. This is those fun little rating systems, right? That sometimes make complete sense. And sometimes you're like, the person writing these questions had no idea what they were asking. Either way, I knew what I was doing. So I'm very likely to use all this data going forward. So you can rate all these. What are your suggestions for future videos? It's a text box. What are your suggestions for making it better? Notice I made this one small, not on purpose, but I did. Have you checked out training, Power Apps? And then here we have like, what is your email address? And so if I start to put in my good old email address, shane@powerapps911.com. So then it says, hey, would you want to add it to our monthly mailing list? Yes. And then look, this question is using branching logic. And so if you want to add it to my mailing list, then can I follow up with you directly if you have questions? We do yes. And then we have the ability to submit. So that's one way that we use Microsoft Forms, right? Is this idea that it is a electronic way to capture this type of information. And notice there's a computer view. There's also a mobile view, so you can see what it would look like if I had sent it to you and you open it on your phone. Pretty cool. So that is the idea of a form. But then you also have over here, we'll go back to Forms. I also made a skills test. So I'll put the link down below if you'd like to take it and see how well your skills are. But so then this is going to ask you different questions, but it's a quiz. And so the idea here is that not only is it going to ask you all these questions, but as it asks you the questions, it's going to determine whether or not you got them right and generate a score at the end of the quiz. So a great way if you do training or things like that, where you want to figure out, how are you doing? Here's your ability to create this quiz and then be able to see what they are. Oops, you can see the first question. There's the right answer because I am in the view. But I, as a creator, went through and put in all the questions and I get to choose. You can also, what's really neat here, which is probably hard to see, but like when you go into these, you can also set the response. So you can say, hey, here, if they get this one wrong, or if they get this one right, here's what I want to say, right? Boom, good job. Or, down here, while you're correct, you're looking for, look up as the correct answer. So you're able to like drive home and reinforce the points you made with your questions. So kind of cool stuff. Now, when people fill out these, you'll then be able to see the responses tab. And so you can see the average score so far has been 84%. You can see what people are guessing, what they're doing. So this will help you do a better job of figuring out what you need to tailor. So nice little set of analytics here as well. So these are the two things we have the ability to build. So let's go over and let's build one. So if you come in here, you're going to say, I want to do a new form. And so then what is the form? This is my demo form, right? We can attach a picture. And if you choose picture, you can image search, you can pull it from OneDrive, you can upload, all of those. So ways you can get your image into the thing. Cool. You can enter a description. And then once you do this, then you can come down here, right? So let's see, just for fun. So then we do add new. And so here are the most common question types, but then you also have the ability to do these advanced ones. So let's just make it common. Let's do a choice. So if we say, do you like Chewy? Right? Chewy's the old dog, you know Chewy. So you can say, do you like Chewy? You can see here it gives us suggested options. I'm like, hey, yeah, add all of them. Boom, it filled them in. I'm getting, oh, I didn't really want to give people maybe. I'll get rid of that. I can add an other option, which will automatically, if they choose that, then prompt them for additional information. That's pretty cool. You can add an image, right? So we could have said, hey, I want to add an image here, and then we could do a little upload, right? And off my desktop, there we go. Chewy sitting on the couch. Oh, images must be less than 5 megs. Oopsie. How about this one? And so then now it'll put the image of Chewy here in the question right in line as well. So that is a multiple choice question. You can then come down here and you can do multiple answers. You can make the question required or not. You also have the ability to automatically make it shuffle where the right answer goes. You can change it to a drop down, or what I often find myself wanting is a subtitle. And so then this gives me a chance to be like, you know, ain't he cute? Like that. And then at any point I can just hit preview. Do you like Chewy? Ain't he cute? And then you can see the yes, the no, the other. And if I put in other, then I can be like, love is the answer. Boom. And so then I can submit this survey, right? So, but the nice thing here is because previewing is so fast and easy, you can kind of go and check as you go. So let's add another question here. We're going to add another new question. So text is just a text fill in. Ratings are, you know, nice little, how would you rate this video? And so you'd get a nice little star type of question. I guess we'll just do that real quick. How do you rate this? Boom. Then we can add another new. So what I really wanted to show you though is some of these special ones. Sometimes people kind of miss these, right? So ranking is your more traditional, rank thing. So take the different ones that are in order and put them in the correct order. So I think on the quiz, I have an example of this, but this will give you the ability to, you know, let people do that. The Likert, that's that big matrices of, you know, how do you feel about the different things? You have the ability to do a file upload. So file upload, one thing you need to know about that, particular feature that we'll talk about here in a second, is with file upload, you also have the ability, or you only have the ability to use file upload if you're sharing the survey only internally. So you can't let anonymous people on the internet do file upload. It's only if you're sharing the survey in an authenticated way. So sometimes that one kind of comes and goes, right? Because right now it's file upload is there, but if I go up here to the share settings and say, hey, I want to share this not with only people in my organization, but with anyone with a link can respond. As soon as I make that change, now if we go down here and say add new, you'll see that file upload is grayed out. So that causes some people confusion. So I want to make sure you knew about that. Net Promoter Score, this is NPS as we often refer to it. This is a very neat system where basically you ask people how likely are you to recommend a company. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. And so then based on the number they choose, a score is calculated. And it's a really interesting system. One of the companies I used to work for was really big into this, and I really kind of bought into the Kool-Aid. So check it out on Wikipedia if you're not familiar with it, but it's a great way to really get a feeling for what's going on, in my opinion. You can also break your survey up, or your form up into sections. And what really think of that, instead of thinking of it as sections, think of it as pages, right? So if I add another section here, so section 2, and then we add another question real quick. We'll just do a date question. You know, when is Chewy's B-Day? Like that. And so then now if I go in here to share, oh, not share, sorry, go into preview, right? So there's question 1, there's question 2. And then when you do next, then it takes you to section 2. So this is how you can break up your forms into multiple screens. It's via sections, which is not immediately obvious. And it works just as well on mobile, right? You can see this. I can go back. There's just question 1 and 2 on this. So that is your sections capability. All right, so hopefully that's enough to kind of get you guys going on creating questions. Now, one of the things you might want to do is you can create what's called branching. So if we go over here and go to branching, what you have the ability to do is say, hey, if they say, ain't he cute, when they choose yes, I want to, right, they're done with the survey. So I can send them to the end of the form, or I can send them to a specific question. So now I can say send them straight to section 2.2. So then now, if we go back over here and go to preview, if I'm filling it out, I'm like, hey, yes, then it will automatically, when I hit next, it takes me straight over to section 2.2. So it skipped the question around whatever question 2 was. I forget what it was. How do you rate this? It skipped question 2. So that is how branching works. I'll be honest, as a guy who's done some more advanced survey stuff, I really didn't feel like branching was amazing, right? It kind of was lacking some of the features I wanted, but that's okay. It's still better than nothing. So kind of keep a look at that if that is a need you have. So that's branching. On the settings here, right, this is both where we're setting the security and what you want to record. So if you're doing people inside your organization, do you want to limit them to only one response? Sometimes you do. Maybe you don't want them to stuff the ballot box, so to speak. And then you can set things like the start date, the end date, have the question shuffle. You can customize your thank you message. So just a bunch of little niceties that make your form a little nicer. And then you can also send email recipients to respondents and get a response. But notice, right, if I make anyone can respond, then I can't send an email receipt because I don't know who they are unless I ask them and they fill it out. So, that's the neat thing I think here also is that it kind of, Forms does a good job of removing options. So as soon as you know whether it's a externally facing survey or an internally facing survey or form, I keep calling it form. It feels like a survey, but whatever. With the form, then what you're going to do is you're going to see different options light up. So get your sharing options set up first, so that way you see what you can and can't do. So that's the settings. Multilingual, this works pretty well. So if I come in here and say add another language, and I'm going to add some language I don't know how to spell, all right, why add Spanish? And so when I do this, what happens, if I go over here to preview, so I can see I'm currently in English, United States. But if I go back over here and I can change this to Spanish, right now all the questions show up in English as well because they don't automatically translate it for me. But so over here, when I am editing the form, I can change the language, or so then now I can set the question, right? And so you can say, do you like chewy? Oh, and this would have been Spanish, which I do not know how to ask that in Spanish. So, so then now if you go into preview, nope, I did that wrong. Oh, whoops, sorry, I did that wrong. So what you want to do is then you go over here back to multilingual and you click on Spanish now that you've added it. And so then now it brings you to this section. And so then now I can be like, do you like Spanish or do you like chewy? And so it would say real Spanish goes here. And so then now that I'm not screwing it up, if we go back over here and we go to preview, so English is English, right? But we go to Espanol and then real Spanish goes here. So so it's not going to automatically translate your survey for you, but it gives you the ability to, specify the language and then what's different in each language. So you put in the Spanish version, the Dutch version, whatever it might be. And then your user, when they're taking it, right, then they have the ability to choose whether they want to see the survey in English or Spanish up here. So sorry about that, a little confusing, but it's nice. So then feedback and terms, we don't need to go through. Okay. So that gets us our first survey built. Now we've got our first survey built. Let's talk a little bit about how we do responses. So over here on the responses section, let's go to one that already has some responses. So I think we'll go to this one. Power Apps Skills Test had 3 responses. So over here we have the different answers that people have chosen, what was right, what was wrong, and the analytics. Also down here, what you can do with your responses is you can open an Excel. So one of the things about forms is the amount of, where it stores the data, and basically it just stores it magically behind the scenes. You have unlimited storage, as best I can tell from the documentation, but there's no way to directly go query that form's data, it's not like a data source we could add to our apps or anything like that. But what you can do is you can open an Excel. And so this is one way to get the raw data out, right? It then makes an Excel file, you can pull it out. Or what we're going to do in a future video is I'm going to show you how to use the connectors to use Microsoft Power Automate, aka Flow. I still call it Flow. But use Flow to go, and every time a new survey response is created, we're going to show you how to grab that data and pull it in. And so then you could go store it into SharePoint, into SQL, into CDS, wherever it might make sense. Right, and this is one of the big differences between Forms and Forms Pro. So with Forms Pro, your data is automatically stored in the common data service, so you don't have to create some type of automation and get the data out into a usable place for you. It's already there. So that's one of the niceties there, but it's not a big deal to get it out here. We're going to write ourselves a flow in the next video on how to do that. So that's your data coming out of Forms. The other nice thing that you want to kind of check out here, the responses, right, is it does have these additional analytics around what's going on, so insights and things like that. So kind of helpful. The quiz is probably not a great one. Let's go back over here to my, this one. Right, so like if I go in here to the responses, so you can see how long it's taking people to fill it out, what type of data were they looking for, and so this kind of gave me some actionable information that I could actually go and do and dive into. So I thought it was pretty nice a way that they built this, right? No one said no, so it's like good, yay. But yeah, and so open Excel, I can also view the results. And so then this lets me go through person by person and see if the respondent one, because it was an anonymous survey, that person said common data service for that question. This one also, this person took twice as long to fill it out. So I can actually go through these line by line and look at them. Another difference, Forms Pro, I can export these individual responses. In Forms, when we're looking at here, you cannot do it. I can, though, delete the response if I'm like, I don't like that, what that person had to say. I can delete their response, or I can print out their responses as necessary. So that's some kind of neat stuff that you can do here. Other things that we might want to look at real quick with our demo form, right? So we didn't talk about, but we have the ability to do themes. So you can change the colors, right? Like my Power Apps purple, or this weird looking scuba diver and octopus. Gives you just a way to kind of customize these, or you can even go in and build your own. So just gives you a way to kind of make them feel a little nicer. And that'll be another thing that you'll probably notice. So when we're talking about Forms Pro versus Forms, right? This is Forms, and Forms Pro is a paid product. With Forms Pro, we have a lot more customization. So not only around the look, the feel, but we can do personalization. We can pull make the surveys more in tune with the people that are filling them out. So there's a lot of additional things you can do in Forms Pro. So if you get here, you like it, but you're like, man, I need to be able to customize it further to make my boss happy, Forms Pro is probably the answer. Forms Pro also has deeper analytics, so a lot more insights and things like that. Forms Pro has a lot of additional ways to share. We've kind of looked at the share button here, right? We can basically send people a link, and so we can send these links out a few different ways, and we can either send it to anyone or only people in org. So we set the security, if you will, of the form. Forms Pro has a lot more additional options there, allowing ways to share it and how you can push that information out. And then just overall, Forms Pro has a lot more complexity. So if you're like, man, I really wish I could do this other idea. I want to do branching a little more complex. I want more of this and more of that. Go check out Forms Pro. I have not done a lot with it, but I've read some stuff. And as far as I understand, pretty much every time you say, man, I wish Forms did this, it's usually, it does it over in Forms Pro. So, which is fair. Also, I'm going to post a link down below to an article from Megan Walker. She has a great article on just like a Forms versus Forms Pro that I thought was a great read, because she broke it out in like a big table form of, here's a little this, here's a little that. And so I did that. And so then finally, switching back to our favorite Power Apps and Flow, where am I using this or seeing this the most? Well, so what we're really seeing in customer scenarios is that Forms is become a great way to get data from external people. So whether that's their customers or their vendors, maybe they want to do feedbacks and things like that. So one of our customers, we're writing them like an agency management system. So a whole system for dealing with all of their agents, because all their agents are not employees. They're, I don't know if you want to call them subcontractors or whatever they are. they have a different relationship with them. So they have a whole management dashboard and interface for like handling certifications and data and all the stuff around those people. Well, the first step when a new agent comes on board and they get several a week is that, it used to be the agent would fill out all these paper forms, send them in, and somebody would have to type in all this information. So what we've done is we've made it a Microsoft form that we send to the agent, or the agent to be, I guess. They fill out the form, and when they submit it, it goes, our flow triggers, and our flow starts an approval process and says, hey, Johnny Walker filled this out. Do you want to take it? And we're like, oh yeah, I was expecting Johnny Walker to fill it out. We hit approve, and then the flow keeps going, and it creates Johnny Walker an Azure AD account. It sets up some security. It sends them some additional information to fill out, and we start this whole automated process. But we put the little approval step in there because that way, if evil hacker fills out the form, right? It says, hey, evil hacker filled this out. You're like, I wasn't expecting evil hacker to fill it out. So we deny it. So then all the stuff around creating them an account and all that provisioning stuff doesn't happen. But then also, right, we're taking the data, and in their case, we're putting it into a database, Azure SQL. And so then our Power App can then see, oh, look, here's all the agents that have filled out the form. Here's all their data. So no one has to rekey anything. And so it's there in my Power App, even though the user put it into forms. Forms went to Flow, Flow went to SQL, and then Power App does SQL, and now we're off and running and working with the data. So a really, I don't want to say complex solution, but a multifaceted solution. And Forms was really the enabler because Forms was the first step to get us that data to stop the rekeying that was happening so much. And we use it a few other ways with some other different customers, but I thought that was one of the most dynamic ones that we've done thus far. And now in the future, maybe we'll make that a Microsoft portal. But, anonymous forms is a pretty easy solution. So we kind of rolled with that. So I just want to make sure you guys kind of had that. Also, one of the lessons we learned with forms is you've got to be careful about the things that you ask for. So it's real easy to be like, oh yeah, we're going to create you a username, right? So I need to know your password. Forms has a bunch of AI built into it that it doesn't let you ask things like, what is your social security number? What is your password? It won't let you collect that. So Forms will not let you share it if you have questions that are inappropriate that way. So be careful with that. And if you're having a hard time getting your thing to share, just go back and reread your questions and be like, hey, did I write anything here that says, what is your mother's maiden name? It's probably going to do a red flag and not let you publish it. So I thought that was kind of neat that Forms is trying to be very proactive around not letting people use it for evil. So, all right, I think that's everything I've got for you guys. Like I said, the next video, we'll talk about writing that flow to get the data out and get it pushed over to a data source. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then who knows where else Forms might show up in our Power Apps and Flow videos, right? If this is your first time, glad you're here. I'm guessing Forms is going to get some different people, so hello. Be sure to check out the rest of the channel. Lots of Power Apps, lots of Office 365 fun stuff out there. So, and I think with all that, I'm just going to say thanks and have a great day. Before you go, be sure to click on the subscribe button over here so that way you'll be notified when new videos come out. If you need any help or you want to work together, whether your problem is big or small, check us out at Power Apps 911. We do it all. I rhymed. Or if you're looking for more formal training offerings, we have those linked up here somewhere. So check them out. Thanks and have a great day.